Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our comprehensive analysis of the fur trade's profound influence on early North American history. The fur trade was not merely an economic enterprise. It was a catalyst for exploration, territorial expansion, and significant cultural transformations. Central to this narrative is the beaver skin trade, which ignited events leading to wars, the reshaping of boundaries, and the unfortunate decimation of Native American cultures. Today, we will dissect the intricate connections between European demand for fur and the resultant exploration and settlement patterns in North America during the 17th to 19th centuries. The beaver hat craze in Europe. From the early 1600s until the mid-1830s, the beaver hat was not merely a fashion statement, but a symbol of status and refinement in Britain and Western Europe. This demand created an insatiable appetite for beaver pelts, primarily sourced from North America. Historical records indicate that traders like John Jacob Astor sold upwards of 500,000 beaver pelts in a single auction day in New York. These pelts were exported to England, fueling a lucrative industry that intertwined European fashion with North American natural resources. Canadian fur traders and American mountain men were instrumental in charting the vast territories of North America. Their quest for beaver led them to traverse and map regions previously uncharted by Europeans. They played pivotal roles in discovering and establishing the Oregon and California trails, critical pathways for America's westward expansion. These individuals, often operating under perilous conditions, served not only as trappers but also as guides and scouts. Their efforts facilitated the migration of settlers and ultimately influenced the determination of United States boundaries, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. Native American contributions to the fur trade. Indigenous populations were the primary source of beaver pelts and buffalo hides from the late 17th to the early 19th century, especially in regions such as the Great Lakes and the upper Missouri River. Utilizing traditional hunting methods, they supplied vast quantities of fur to European traders. While beaver pelts were highly prized, other furs like muskrat, raccoon, fox, deer hides, and later buffalo robes constituted the bread and butter of the fur trade. These staples were traded in immense quantities. Mountaineers, Native Americans, and early settlers exchanged these furs and hides by the millions. John Jacob Astor's fur auctions featured significant quantities of muskrat pelts, reflecting diverse demand in European and American markets. The deer skin trade and early frontiersmen. Frontiersmen like Daniel Boone were heavily involved in the deer skin trade. A doe hide was worth 50 cents or more, while a buckskin could fetch $1 or higher, giving rise to the term buck as slang for $1 in currency. By the end of the War of 1812, the American tanning industry had burgeoned into a $12 million enterprise, a significant sector in the young nation's economy. It is essential to address contemporary perspectives on trapping to understand its historical context accurately. While modern sensibilities may critique the trapping of fur-bearing animals, recognizing that during the mountain man era, trapping was a crucial economic activity is imperative. It played a significant role in America's western expansion, facilitating exploration, settlement, and the development of trade networks. Trade fairs at Missouri River villages were significant economic and cultural events. By the late 1700s, Plains Indians exchanged beaver pelts and horses with Hudson's Bay and Northwest Company traders for European goods. These fairs involved the trade of garden products, beans, squash, corn, cultivated by the river villages, and horses, furs, buffalo hides from the Plains Indians. In return, Canadian traders provided whiskey, guns, iron goods, trade beads, and occasionally beaver traps. Fur trading companies and territorial exploration. Between 1793 and 1812, the topography of Canada and the United States, west of Lake Superior and north of the 42nd parallel, was extensively charted, predominantly by fur trader explorers. Hostilities and consolidation. Hostilities between the HBC and NWC intensified, exacerbated by proposed settlements around the junction of the Assiniboine and Red Rivers. In 1812, HBC granted Lord Selkirk a vast land grant in the Red River Valley, igniting conflict with the Métis, farmers, fur traders, and hunters supplying pemmican to NWC brigades. On March 26, 1821, the British Parliament intervened, passing an act that effectively forced consolidation under the HBC name, Snake River Brigades and Scorched Earth Policy. Following the merger, HBC Governor George Simpson implemented a Scorched Earth Policy in the Snake River region. From 1822 to 1824, leaders like Michel Bourdon, Finan MacDonald, and Alexander Ross led large brigades trapping extensively in the Bear River drainage and Green River Valley. Simpson's strategy aimed to deplete beaver populations, dissuading American trappers from entering the Oregon country. Exploration by fur traders. Under Peter Skeen Ogden and John Work, HBC's Snake River expeditions continued to traverse and document vast territories. Their journeys significantly contributed to geographical knowledge of the Pacific Northwest and Great Basin regions. Sir Alexander Mackenzie, a partner in the NWC, undertook groundbreaking expeditions that altered North American exploration's course. Donald Mackenzie and the Teton Range. Between 1818 and 1821, Donald Mackenzie, a former Astorian and NWC brigade leader, spearheaded comprehensive trapping expeditions from Fort Nez Perce into the Snake River country and Central Rockies. Trade and Intercourse Acts. To regulate interactions with Native American tribes and curb unauthorized trade, the United States Congress enacted the Trade and Intercourse Acts starting in 1790, with revisions in 1802 and 1832. These laws required traders to obtain licenses, prohibited unapproved land purchases from Native Americans, and banned alcohol sales to indigenous peoples. Manuel Lisa and early fur trading posts. Manuel Lisa, a prominent figure in early American fur trading, established Fort Raymond in 1807 at the confluence of the Bighorn and Yellowstone rivers, the first American trading post in the Rocky Mountains. Andrew Henry and Fort Henry. In 1810, Andrew Henry, a partner in the St. Louis, Missouri Fur Company, led an expedition to the Three Forks area of Montana. After conflicts with Blackfeet warriors forced a retreat, Henry and his men established Fort Henry near the Snake River. Fur trapping practices and mountain man life. Fur trapping was meticulous and demanding. Trappers operated primarily during spring and fall when pelts were prime. They often worked in small parties, setting traps along streams and rivers. Winters posed significant challenges for mountain men. Joe Meek describes these periods as times of relative abundance and socialization, with activities like hunting, making moccasins, and interacting with Native communities. Family life was common, with many trappers having Native American wives and children. The fur trade's geographic scope was vast, with overlapping territories leading to occasional conflicts between companies and nations. Trade goods and economics of the fur trade. Trade goods were essential to the fur trade's operation, serving as both currency and incentives for trappers and Native Americans. The HBC utilized a standardized system with the made beaver pelt as the unit of currency. Transition from beaver to buffalo. By the mid-19th century, overtrapping led to a decline in beaver populations, prompting a shift toward buffalo hides. Statistical overview of mountain men. Analysis of 292 mountain men biographies reveals insightful demographics. Approximately 31% were foreign-born, nearly half Canadians. The average birth year was 1805, indicating most were young during the fur trade's zenith. In conclusion, the fur trade was a complex, multifaceted enterprise that significantly shaped North America's historical trajectory. The relentless pursuit of fur drove economic growth, spurred exploration, and prompted territorial expansion. Reflecting on this era elucidates intricate connections between commerce, geopolitics, and environmental change, offering invaluable insights into forces that shaped our modern world.